Now, he kind of mentioned this before, so I guess we'll get into it. If you guys don't know, Metro Boomin did drop an album. That's the producer, Metro Boomin, out of Atlanta. It is called A Futuristic Summer. And it's actually on pace to sell 18,000 first week. Now, for me, I won't even really say it's a failure or a win for Metro himself. I personally believe that Metro is a good producer, despite our issues together and whatever. I believe that with Metro, the truth behind the whole matter is that Metro's star power that we saw when he was aligned with Future, sometimes we see him aligned with Savage, it's not when Metro stands by himself. So Metro's selling 18K first week in basically a compilation album. That's what it comes across like. And by the way, I keep seeing people saying mixtape or not. Okay, whatever. Cool, I give him the mixtape pass. However, you know, his last collab tape with Future sold like 200,000, right? Metro, Future, we don't trust you. I think the first week sales was like 200,000. Right? Good reception, commercial performance. Yeah, it sold 251,000. Like, again, honestly, never mind, it was a mixtape, right? So Drake sold 400,000 with For All the Dogs, and CLB was like 500, was it 600? Then For All the Dogs was like 200, right? That's the mixtape. Yeah, the mixtape, okay, maybe half of what you normally do, maybe 40%, right? Going from 251,000, and usually a collab album is usually the average of both you guys sales, so I won't act like this is just straight up Metro. And actually, let me find Metro's last. Heroes and Villains, that's what it was. What did he do on that? He probably did 120, right? What did he do, 120? 185. He did 185, right? Going from 185 to 18,000, that's the point I was trying to say. The star power isn't Metro as a producer. He's not DJ Khaled. He's a great producer. He's just not DJ Khaled. The star power with Metro is the people he aligns with, whether he's standing next to Savage, whether he's standing next to Baby, whether he's standing next to Future, and the like of that sort. Now, I was commenting on the product. I don't even think this album's trash. I keep telling people that this is why people bot numbers. This is why botting is such a huge conversation, because when people see 18K, they automatically believe it's garbage. Most of the people didn't give it a chance. Why? Because Metro's star power isn't that strong. Okay? If it had said Metro and Future, a futuristic summer, I guarantee this shit would have did at least 100K. Future has the star power. Okay, I think the album is overly hated. However, it sold what it sold, 18,000. Now, of course, Drake fans are taking this as the opportunity to dunk on Metro, as they should, You know, the idea that these guys all were pretty much celebrating like the overthrowing of the king of some sorts. Like, yo, we don't need Drake. And that's what this entire battle started as. We don't trust you. What some people felt was a diss or a sneak diss to Drake. The performance of both albums, We Don't Trust You and We Still Don't Trust You, along with that tour, was actually a representation, especially by Atlanta artists, to say, Drake, back in the day, you had to bless the Migos for their first single to really blow them up. You helped 2 Chainz, really blew him up. You helped, I mean, just name shit, Future, going back to 2010, to really blow him up on a mainstream level. It was supposed to be a changing of the guards, and I think that continued all the way to Kendrick to celebrate, yo, Drake, we don't need Drake no more. Like, we don't need him for shit. By the way, I think this is why Drake hasn't given a feature to an Atlanta artist. Obviously, he's going to do it with Savage, but he's not trying to give nobody a feature. We'll talk about Baby in a second. Baby don't got no feature. And I think Drake is particularly, and I think What's the Dirt, salute to my man What's the Dirt, he brought this up. Drake don't seem to be wanting to collaborate with certain people. And I think he's banking on himself as they did bank on the fact that he's no longer needed. Now, I told you there's a lot of things that change why I think that became a thought. You got to go down with me, and I know some of y'all going to be like, well, you're accurate, just Drake glazing. No, this is a little bit more thought out than just blindly glazing Drake. Just listen to what I'm saying. In years past, Drake is the first people to bring the Migos on a arena tour, okay? Like, touring these days, the only thing, when it comes to hip-hop, touring has increased. Actually, when it comes to music, period, touring has increased, music sales has decreased. Now, you might think, some people might be like, well, people have taken the money out of purchasing music and now they just go to the live event. Some other people believe that, well, music is something you just consume live rather than you buy and think you own or keep. However, if we go back to 2010, right? If we go back to 2013, Nicki Minaj had a hard time selling out a arena tour with Future. This is true. You guys could Google it. Nicki Minaj Future tour. She actually canceled the North American Nicki Hendrix tour with Future. Now, that's very interesting. Why do I say that? Now, of course, they gave some bullshit excuse. By the way, what year was this, if I could find it? They get some bullshit excuse. This was 2018. This is due to the late album release, lack of rehearsal time. They were going to start the tour later than planned. I got even a better example. Yo Gotti, Meek Mill cancel tour. That happened as well. Back in 2017, Meek Mill and Yo Gotti tried to go on tour. That was postponed. They said unspecified reason. I could tell you tickets weren't selling. The reality of things now is that most of these artists, and I want y'all to hear that. So Meek just dropped an album that sold 250,000, which was Championships, in 2018. Yo Gotti was super hot because he had really popped off again. Them together couldn't sell out an arena tour. These days, Meg Thee Stallion goes on an arena tour. Yo, Chris Brown is in a stadium tour. Chris Brown's literally about to come to North New Jersey, in a couple days. Weeknd is doing stadium. Kendrick's doing stadium. Drake is doing like 1 million arenas. Rod Wave is doing an arena. Youngboy's doing an arena. Moneybagg Yo did an arena, even though it was a low bowl tour. The point what I'm trying to tell y'all is that live shows have increased. Now, why do I bring that up in comparison to this Drake idea? In 2015, and we could go back to this, was Aubrey and the Migos tour. This was the first tour that they were co-headlining. This is the first co-headlining tour by the Migos that was a arena tour. Okay? Now, I believe that because of how touring, which is the main primary source of income for the majority of these artists, not album sales, not residuals, nothing else but touring. This is one of the reasons why, Drake, he's a bag addict. He stays on tour. Most of these artists are staying on tour. What ended up happening, okay? And by the way, also Drake did, I remember when he did the back-to-back thing back in 2015, him and Future was on tour. Okay, I'm doing some word salad, but let me get to it. The point is this. All of these artists have these mega tours without Drake. You might not have the mega songs without Drake. You might not get the #1, but you're getting deals to go on arena tours without Drake. It's almost like if you're doing the same venue as Drake, it becomes a thing where you say, we don't need this nigga no more. And I do believe that that's where a lot of the people, when Kendrick kicked off that battle, their either reluctance to speak up for Drake or them watching and waiting to see, they wanted to see if it was a changing of the tides. From 2011, remember Drake brought Rocky on his first tour, Kendrick first tour, Meek first tour. He brought all these guys out. Years later, these guys, like Future, is going on an arena tour with Metro. they don't really need Drake anymore. And I think that helped the sentiment of these guys to say, yeah, we don't need the king anymore. And that emboldened the energy of course, Kendrick then battling him, everybody sitting back and watching. And I think Drake is super resentful. That's why I think Drake ain't giving none of these niggas a feature. Drake rather goes to the UK. He might go to Australia next. I think he gonna do some shit in dancehall. He gonna give them a feature. I don't think Drake want to give most of these American artists no features no more because he's realized that they tried him. They thought they were bigger than the program, and they're like, yo, I think we're good without this nigga. Because before, Drake had all these niggas feeding out of their hands. Out of his hands, I mean. And that's what I think is happening. Not saying, obviously, Metro was one of those people too. Metro was one of the first people, because this was big, and this was before the battle, when Metro said, yo, Drake did a song, a verse for Trance, but that shit was too late. We thought the song was better without. Who says a song could be better without Drake? Drake's the biggest thing ever. But that showed the mentality of these industry guys thinking, like, if Taylor Swift gave you a verse, you wouldn't be like, nah, Taylor's verse is whack. I'm not putting out the verse with Taylor. No, you put it out with Taylor. It's Taylor Swift. But when Metro said that about Trance and Drake, let's see if we could get back to the interview. It was an interview where he talked about it. When he said that, it was almost like you could literally hear the industry saying, yeah, Drake is popping, but we don't need him anymore. Those stimulus packages that y'all are talking about are a thing of the past, right? Let me see if we could... Drake. And this was the interview right here, if I can find it. No, I can't find it. Nope, okay. Keep scrolling. It was an interview, and they asked him, they said, why you didn't put it? Why you didn't put a nigga on why'd you take his verse off? And he was, here we go.
It was a song I had did with Travis and Thug originally for my album. I was just in the studio with Drake one time because we were going to do some stuff for my album, and he just wanted to hear some songs from my album. Then he heard that one and really wanted to get on it. But like, I was letting him know that he was really just done for real, and I was really just set on how it was. I was like, bro, I ain't even try to sell you no dream. Like, it's really like just locked in. I'm locked in where it was, but he hit me and was just like, man, let me see if it's just anything he could add to it. And he was like, if you don't like it, then whatever. So he did some stuff. A couple parts was cool, but like, I just felt like, just even with like Slime verse and Trav verse, then the outro, it was just already like, it just really wasn't no room. It was just wasn't no room. It wasn't nothing personal. Just
and I believe, again, this is my own theory right here. I think there was a lot of people in the industry who thought that maybe they got too big for their britches, or they just felt like we don't need Drake anymore. And I think that idea, you remember when Drake notoriously rapped in 2014 on 5 a.m. In Toronto, I could load every gun with bullets that fire backwards, still wouldn't lose a single rapper. He was talking about the dependency of the rap game on him. Like, y'all need me. They need me more than they hate me. That was like a big theme. Y'all need me. And I think once we were getting to this era where you have Metro, who's just simply a producer, if you're a fucking producer, guy, like, if the biggest rapper is offering to give you a verse, right? Whatever. And by the way, shit. I don't know if you guys ever heard like the full thing that I think somebody had said it, but supposedly the whole beef with Metro. Did I ever tell y'all the whole beef supposedly with Metro and Drake is stemmed from, allegedly, Drake hits up Metro for a beat. This is right after his mom passed. Metro is like, which by the way, I think it's fucked up on Drake's part. If this is true, I don't know. But Metro is just not in that headspace to really like whatever. Drake is like pushing for the beat because he wanted to do a record or whatever the case is. It's like, yo, send me this shit. And like, Metro kind of interprets this like, yo, this guy is not even a human. Like, yo, I'm going through the toughest time. I lost my mother. I'm not even thinking fuck music right now. Like this nigga's like just on my ass, like just not even like thinking about me as a person. So he's like, yo, man, fuck this guy. You know what I mean? That supposedly that was the like little falling out. Drake is pushing to get a beat from the nigga. Metro is like, yo, I'm not even a headspace for music. Drake's like, yo, come on, dog, I need this, bro. And he's being extra pushy. And Metro takes it like, yo, this guy's an asshole. Like, what the fuck? Like, nigga, I just lost my mom and you over here just keep asking me about music and a beat. Nigga, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know what I mean? Supposedly. I don't know. But that's supposedly why these guys weren't like the girl stuff comes in like afterwards and shit like that. You know, all these guys fuck the same girls. They want to fuck the same girls, right? Because you could definitely find a girl that no one knows, right? So there's some girl stuff, but whatever. But from what I hear, the disagreement comes in because Drake was just a little bit pushy on Drake trying to finish up an album. I forgot what beat it was. It was some beat. Oh, it might have been the beat for. Oh, I think it was the beat that was on Her Loss. I think I could be wrong. But supposedly, like, Metro is fucked up over the passing of his mom, and he's seen Drake kind of almost like be so like, yo, give me this shit. Like, he's like, yo, dog, like, do you not like have human emotions to realize like I just lost my mother, my nigga? Like, bro, I'm not even in that type of. But which I think that came after this, not this interview, but the moment where, you know, I think he fronted on Drake for whatever. Anyway, I don't know. That's what I heard. Yeah, so whatever. But my whole point, and this is my theory still, I think not the entire industry, I think a lot of people in the industry were saying that Drake was expendable. And I think Drake now is betting on himself once again and trying to show he's not expendable. He's not giving out features, and he's trying to watch all these guys flop. You know what I mean? Like, yo, I love French Montana, but I would love to see if French gets a feature from Drake. I love, well, I don't really care, but DJ Khaled's cool. I would love to see if he gets a feature from Drake. I feel like Drake is almost like, he's like, yo, listen, I'm gonna show y'all my impact by my absence. Okay, some of y'all I don't got no beef with, but don't hit me for the feature, bro. You didn't speak up when I'm getting my back kicked in and niggas call me a PDF and blah, blah. Don't hit me for the feature. Let's see how y'all do without me. Like, I feel like this is almost a replay of, again, 5 a.m. in Toronto. Yo, what's that line in 5 a.m. Toronto? He's like, yo, 5 a.m. in Toronto. Where it's like, yo, something about being on the shelf. And he says, if I was willing to help. He's like, a couple albums dropped. Those are still on the shelf. I bet them shits would have popped if I was willing to help. Right? And I think he's betting on himself like that's still the thing. Also, there was starting to be this idea. I'm going to be honest with you. I've heard this from rappers, okay? And obviously, I'm not dropping no names. I wouldn't. But I've heard rappers who are starting to believe that the Drake effect or how Drake was moving was more self-serving than helping people. Where they're like, nah. They're like, yeah, Drake came over here and tapped him for a song, but Drake needed the streets, or Drake needed this, or Drake needed the clubs, or Drake needed that. So it's one of those things that there's a lot of people that were starting to think that Drake needed people to stay at the spot that he was at. So I think it's a really interesting science experiment happening. I think Drake is solely betting on himself. Drake is down to say, I didn't need none of you pussies, and I hope y'all never needed me. Let's see what happens in a year. Will I still be the guy, or will I fall off? I like that bet. Betting on yourself, I'll never ever say you shouldn't do it. So we'll see how that goes, but interesting times. Okay. Let's keep this shit moving, people.